Good afternoon, and welcome to Triple N News. I'm Kaleb McMillan.
And I'm Drapeau.
Let's get rolling.
A plane crash happened this morning at 9:23 a.m. A local pilot was flying his two-seat biplane. The crash was caused by a faulty engine light that failed to turn on to let him know that his right wing flap was having issues. So when he went to take a swooping turn, the wing didn't want to turn properly, so when applying more force, the flap broke off and caused the plane to spin out of control. Realizing the issue he had, he told his wife to go get the parachutes. She got them and they put him on. He grabbed their dog and they jumped out. The plane crashed in a local field, and sadly, chemicals from the plane poured into the ground, therefore damaging the crops around it. Nobody was hurt in the crash. It was only Jason Robinson, his wife, and their dog. The plane is not salvageable. According to Cheryl Robinson, she says, "It was sad to see her go. Jason loved that plane. It was his pride and joy." Jason is being sued for damage to the crops by the owner of the farm. The case is on June 12th at 3 o'clock. A quote from Jason: "I'm glad none of us got hurt, and we will hope for the best at the court." And now we have footage from the scene taken by a local bystander. Here we are.
Early Tuesday morning, Mount Horb's local Quick Trip, located at 525 Springdale Street, was robbed by two young adult men with ages ranging from 20 to 25. The robbery took place at approximately 4:50 a.m. The two colleagues were seen filling up a 2006 black Chevy truck in the parking lot. This was the same vehicle that would be used to make their escape. One of the two men entered the store to seemingly buy some food. At such an early hour, there were only 4 employees working. 2 were working the registers, 1 was restocking the shelves, and the 4th was in the back room doing paperwork. The crook entered and proceeded to the soda aisle. After picking up a few items, he went up to the cash register. Meanwhile, his partner came running in with a gun in his hand and wearing a black ski mask. He pointed the gun at the cashier and demanded that she empty the register and hand the money over to him. All the while, the first robber jumped behind the counter and began to grab multiple packs of cigarettes. Unknowing to the robbers, the second cashier had been pressing a panic button that alerted her fellow employee working in the back room. The employee in the back room, Jody Davidson, noticed the panic button was being pressed, checked the security cameras, saw the criminals, and immediately alerted the police. "We are trained to know exactly what to do in these situations," said Davidson. All the employees in the store did exactly what they were supposed to do and remained calm. After the police were alerted, the two men had already made their getaway in the truck. Roadblocks were set up in a 5-mile radius around the crime scene, and after only a few minutes, the lawbreakers were apprehended in Black Earth and found with $632 in cash and 30 packages of cigarettes that added up to the equivalent of $315. No names have been released yet, but the Mount Horeb Police Department has released that they believe the motive of the crime was to use the money to buy drugs. The young adults will be held prisoner for the time being, and their fate will be decided at a later time. Although these occurrences are uncommon in such a town like Mount Horeb, we still want you all to be prepared should you ever be in such a situation. With the help of our local police force, we have compiled the 3 most important things to keep in mind if you ever experience a robbery. Firstly, always remain calm. Making a scene may cause the criminal to become uneasy and make a bad decision. Secondly, don't try to be a hero. If the criminal poses a possible threat, do not confront them or try to stand up to them in any way. They will be caught and serve justice for their crimes later. And finally, if you see a suspicious-looking person, don't be afraid to report to the employees working, as they are most likely trained in what to do. We now go to Olivier on site of a company layoff. Olivier?
Gregory Manufacturing is making further cuts to what is left of its ailing farm equipment business as sales continue to fade. The company said on Wednesday that it would eliminate up to 450 jobs as a result of the cutbacks, about 300 of them just outside of Mount Horeb, Wisconsin, where the company had originated. GM will take an accounting charge of $50 million related to the cuts, it said. In an email to all Gregory Manufacturing employees sent early Friday, Doug Myers, executive vice president of the company, described the cuts as incredibly difficult, but said that GM needed to be more focused in their manufacturing efforts. As downbeat a note as the layoffs were for the company, there isn't much left of the army of people it once had working for the company. While some of its products were well reviewed, some small businesses treated GM's merchandise as an afterthought, making it less attractive to customers. Alexander Gregory, GM's CEO, has taken a different approach to the manufacturing business than his predecessor, pushing the company's engineering teams to release new and creative versions of similar products on the market to boost sales. However, many of the customers preferred using already known equipment, making this a significant loss for the company. Gregory Manufacturing's long-term goal is to keep the company small and stick to the basics until sales increase once more. GM said that it would produce new, innovative products in the future, suggesting that they would be more aimed at business customers who have shown more interest in the company's more complex devices. When I look back on our journey, we've done hard work and had great ideas, but have not always had the alignment needed across the company to make an impact, says Mr. Gregory in his email to his employees. Although the present looks grim, the future is brighter, and Gregory Manufacturing is moving forwards.
Thank you, Olivier. Now we go to Carter on a story on what is to come of Norse Golf and Bowl.
The vote for whether or not the village of Mount Horeb should have purchased the land of Norse Golf and Bowl took place on April 5th. But even though it was nearly 2 months ago at this point, the outcome still has an effect on Mount Horeb today. In case you didn't already know, the people voted that the village should indeed buy the land for the price of $2,150,000. This meant that the course would be kept a course, instead of being turned into lots to perhaps have houses or other properties built upon them. This also meant that a family with a house worth $250,000 would pay an extra $64 in taxes a year, or approximately $535 a month. This may not seem like all that much, but considering that those taxes may be imposed over a number of years, it starts to stack up. Jim Coon, a local homeowner, says, "Although I appreciate having a golf course for the people of Mount Horeb to enjoy, I'm concerned when I think about the village having other more important things to spend their money on. Our schools are always in need of upkeep and or improvements. Hopefully, we will be able to take care of all we need to take care of." Because of Mr. Coon's current home assessment, he would pay slightly over the previously mentioned $64 mark every year in taxes. However, there are some upsides to the result as well. The Mount Horeb High School golf team will still be able to practice there, as opposed to having to practice in another town such as Madison or Verona. And another quite obvious positive is that the general population will also be able to enjoy the course and the lanes inside of the establishment. Because Norsk is not only a golf course, it is also a frequent meeting place of adults and teens alike. The vote may have taken place almost 2 months ago, but the outcome will surely have an impact for a long time to come.
In some uplifting news, Mount Horeb's new Chick-fil-A has broken ground and construction has begun. The restaurant is being built at the site of the old mobile gas station across the street from Quick Trip. After the gas station closed down over 4 years ago due to its competitor, Quick Trip, no business has been there since. The idea was generated after the huge amount of success and revenue that the location in Madison brought, which proved that this business could thrive so far up north. This generated the idea that more should be made in the great state of Wisconsin. And why choose any other town than our very own Mount Horeb? Scouting agent for the franchise, Thomas Ramshot, is quoted as saying, "We were looking for a town just outside of Madison that had a lot of character and energy." He added, "Mount Horeb is not simply a suburb of Madison, but it stands on its own with its unique character and interesting people." The franchise location will be run by longtime Mount Horeb resident Jim McIntosh. He has worked in the fast food industry for over 20 years under Craig Culver himself for the Culver's fast food chain. Many people believe he will do an excellent job of running the store and that it will help bring people who normally come to Mount Horeb visit it every once in a while. The construction is thought to be done by mid-July, but job applications are now being accepted. You can find them around town at the community center, the high school office, and Chick-fil-A's location in Madison is where they should also be turned in.
I look forward to having that local restaurant. A local rap battle went south today. A small neighborhood festival was taking place with lots of events, such as a beanbag toss and a dunk tank. Some members from the local high school band were playing there. One of the events there was a rap battle. It was a fairly carefree contest, and the winner was going to get $100. The final round had gotten there, and it was between two men, both around the age of 20. As the round came to a close, the winner was declared, and the loser, in anger, threw a punch at the winner. The winner stumbled off the stage, but soon got up, ready to retaliate. A fight started between the two of them, and both seemed to be holding their own against each other, according to witnesses. They had to be pried apart from each other by other contestants. The authorities were alerted and soon showed up on the scene. Both were taken to the station. The families of the two members wished to be unnamed. Both were hurt badly in the incident, with one having a broken arm. Now we're going to Olivier to talk about a park fundraiser.
There's a new park in town, Gentle Breeze Park. We have been truly fortunate to have worked with dozens of groups working to raise funds to create a better park for the community. Through these collaborations, we have seen what works, what doesn't, and what's critical to success and what can doom a plan to failure. We have discovered some wonderful side effects of the community fundraising process. And, just when we think we've seen it all, we are once again amazed at the innovation the community brings. We applaud the community who worked hard to make Mount Horb's parks all that they should be, and we thank these dedicated volunteers who have shared their time, energy, and creativity with Gentle Breeze Parks. The most commonly used donor program for this park was the brick sale. Donors purchased a brick for the park and then engraved them, which they were then placed on the park walkway.
Thank you, everyone. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned and keep rolling with us. We have just received word that a company by the name of Artificial Sun Incorporated is being sued for alleged false advertising. The company was started up after their product, the Artificial Sun, appeared on Shark Tank and the investors ate it up. The product is supposed to act as an alternative to the sun, doing things such as giving you a tan, providing sun for plants, and even providing solar energy to solar panels. The charges were brought up after Andrew Olson of Mount Horeb saw the product online and bought it. Following this, he attempted to use the products on his flowers. Instead of doing what a normal sun would do, the product instead set the flowers on fire. This, however, isn't the first time something along these lines has happened concerning Artificial Sun Incorporated's machine. In fact, there have been over 250 more complaints that include temporary blindness and irritation of the skin and nausea after too much exposure. Some consumers are now demanding their money back as well as a recall of the product. But the question is, why is Andrew Olson's story so different from the others? Why hasn't anyone else filed a lawsuit? Well, this is because the flowers that Olson used the sun on were only one of 3 flats of the rare Satan's blazing daisies left in the entire world. Olson claims, the label said that the product would be adapted for using on delicate flowers like mine. I changed the saying to exactly what it said, and then this happened. Olson plans to sue the company for $2 million because the flowers he previously owned were so valuable. When Artificial Sun Incorporated was asked to comment, they declined. The court date is set for June 6 at approximately 3 p.m. at Madison's Courthouse located on Capitol Street. As a station who aired one of their commercials, we would like to sincerely apologize to all our viewers if you bought this project because you saw it on this channel.
Thank you, Kaleb, for that insightful story. Now let's go to Carter Coon about why Mount Horeb should get an indoor pool. Carter?
It's a question nagging most here in Mount Horeb, particularly high school students. Should the Mount Horeb High School get a pool? Firstly, let's look at the cost of a pool. An above-ground pool rarely costs more than $4,500 on the high end, but an in-ground pool, much like the one at Mount Horeb Public Pool, can cost anywhere between $14,961 and $21,649, according to ImproveNet.com. And the payments don't stop there. It is estimated that you will have to dish out an extra $178 in maintenance costs per month for the average pool, and you need to add on another $40 to $200 for a pool cover. But considering that the new high school weight room was built for approximately $700,000, it seems like more of a reasonable price. It would also open up new possibilities for sports, including water polo and Mount Horeb's own swimming team, as opposed to having them co-op with Verona. A lot more emphasis would be put on fitness as well. We've all heard the statistic that children need 60 minutes of exercise per day, and that task would be made far easier if they had a pool just a few minutes walk away from them during their study hall. I know I would certainly be more interested in losing weight if I could just jog or walk to a pool instead of having to drive to the public one. Swimming has also been shown to work all muscle groups and improve flexibility and overall strength, making it a great option for potential athletes who perhaps can't participate in contact sports. So with all of these positives, it seems to me at this point the school should get a pool, but I suppose that's up for debate.
Thanks, Carter. Now we'll go to Olivier with a story on the formation of a new Mount Horeb lacrosse team.
With the wide variety of young athletes in the community, Mount Horeb High School has decided to implement a new sport in its recreation department, lacrosse. Lacrosse has already been introduced in the past in Mount Horeb as a youth league, where kids were able to participate by practicing together on a co-ed team, mainly for kids ranging from the years 10 to 12. Lacrosse finally grew past the small youth league in Mount Horeb when high schoolers signed up to start a lacrosse team, playing in a league alongside many other neighboring school districts. Already we're hearing excitement about this new sport being introduced from not only students themselves, but also some fans from the community. They look forward to seeing the games being played on their home field in Mount Horeb. Coaching the Mount Horeb High School lacrosse team will be John Goodsman, coming from Columbus, Ohio. Mr. Goodsman commented that he is looking to form a solid team with dedication and hard work, and that Mount Horeb lacrosse will go far in the season. I am eager to see the Vikings play this new sport and wish them luck in their upcoming season.
And now, it's time for sports.
With Jaden Neumann.
The Mount Horeb High School baseball team had a game this past weekend against DeForest. This was the last game of the regular season. The result, a 5-0 win with a great performance from pitcher Spencer Waller. Josh Beyer, another member on the varsity baseball team, also added 2 home runs to help the Vikings to victory. Next up for the boys baseball team is the WIAA state tournament, where they'll face Reedsburg first. The Vikings faced Reedsburg earlier in the regular season and had a win by 1 run. If the Vikings win 3 more games after this, they're on to the state tournament. Good luck, Vikings. On Tuesday, May 31st, the Mount Horeb High School golf team hosted its annual invitational at Norse Golf Course in Mount Horeb. The invited schools were Reedsburg, Edgewood, Waunakee, Milton, and of course Mount Horeb. Edgewood had the strongest showing on the front 9 with a 4-stroke lead after. Mount Horeb, Waunakee, Reedsburg, and Milton were trailing respectively. The back 9 was a different story though, as Mount Horeb fought back to win first place by 1 stroke. Edgewood finished second, Waunakee third, Reedsburg fourth, and Milton fifth. It's the second straight year the boys have won the Invitational, and it was a strong season for the boys as they went 7-0 on meets. Next up for the golf team is the banquet, where they will honor their senior class to show what they've done for the school and the program. The seniors have taken the program to a whole new level, with a record of 59-3 throughout their 4 years. but the future is bright for the golf team as there's a strong class of sophomores coming up. We have just received breaking news from the Mount Horeb track meet currently being held at the Mount Horeb High School. Star athlete Nick Abelos was running a 100-meter dash. He got out to a really strong start, but halfway through the race, he appeared to roll his ankle. Sherry Almquist and others came and rushed out to him to help him. Later, the flag trainer, Sherry Almquist, diagnosed Nick with a right ankle fracture. Nick was a favorite to win the 100-meter dash, and this will be a big hit to the Mount Horeb Vikings track team. But good news coming up for the Mount Horeb Vikings is the state meet is on June 3rd and they have multiple athletes attending. Nadia Williams is the favorite to bring home the gold for the Vikings. The 31st annual Mount Horeb Triathlon is expected to take place this next weekend. Events include biking on the bike trail from Mount Horeb to Madison, swimming at Stewart Lake, and running on the bike trail also. The men's winner from last year, Jonathan Stewart, and the women's winner, Megan Sheldon, both are expected to return to the event. Another 100 community members that participated last year in the event are expected to also be there. The first place prize for this event is $500 for both the men's and women's category. We wish the best of luck to everybody participating in this amazing event held by the Mount Horeb Village community. Now some news for girls soccer. On Tuesday, May 10th, the Vikings went to Waunakee to play for their pursuit of the conference title. They won 1-0, giving Waunakee their first defeat of conference. It guaranteed the Vikings at least a share of the conference Badger North. And Sydney King had the lone goal of the match in the 1-0 win off a corner kick. It was a header into the goal earlier in the game. This was Coach Newman's 500th career win. Then later, on May 17th, the Mount Horeb High School girls team played DeForest for the conference championship. If they win, they got outright conference, and if they tie or lose, they had a chance of only sharing conference. They ended up defeating DeForest 2-0. In the opening minutes, Elliot Hutchison opened the scoring to put the Vikings up 1-0 with a through ball. Later in the game, Cheyenne Schmidt-Colvin added another goal to the Vikings record, and it was 2-0. The rest of the game was very hard fought, and DeForest ended up losing 2-0 to the Vikings. After the game, the Vikings celebrated their first conference title in over 10 years since Waunakee has had the reign over the Badger North. Next up for the Vikings is the WIAA playoffs as they hope to continue their run to the state title. I interviewed defender and sophomore Liza Spellman, who is a member of the girls soccer team today, about how she thought the season was going so far. I'm here with Liza Spellman today, interviewing her about the girls soccer season. Hi, Liza.
Hi.
So, how do you think you and the team have been doing so far this season?
Really well. We started off a little rocky. We lost a lot of seniors last year, so it was a very different team, but we've pulled through and worked together well.
Okay. And what has your favorite part of the season been so far?
My favorite part is really just getting to know everyone on the team and becoming a bigger part of it, and just having a lot of fun on the field and off of it. It's been great.
And do you guys have any goals for the rest of the season that you set?
Yeah, a big goal we had was to win conference, and that happened a few games ago against Waunakee and again against DeForest when we won conference, and that was a major thing. And then, of course, just looking forward, we have the WIAA tournament coming up, and state's always been a big focus of ours, so we're just hoping for the best.
Yeah. And so, take me through your typical week. Do you have, how many practices and how many games do you usually do?
Well, it depends. We usually have practice every day unless there's a game there, and sometimes it's only one game a week, and some weeks we've had 4 games during that week, so it can just really vary.
Okay. And finally, one last question. Do you do anything special the day before a game to prepare?
I always eat a banana before my game.
Okay. And that's it. Back to the studio, guys. So everyone, make sure to come out and support your Mount Horeb High School baseball team, as their first playoff game is this Tuesday against Dodgeville. Then, later in the week, the girls soccer team will be hosting Dodgeville also on Thursday, and if they win again, they will have a possible playoff match on Saturday. Everyone, make sure to make out to those games to support Mount Horeb. Thanks for listening to Sports This Week. I hope to see you back here next week at 4. Now, we go to Carter's Cooking Show, as he teaches us how to cook a new, exciting foreign dish.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Carter's Cooking Show. This week, I will be showing you how to make tortilla española. For this recipe, you will need 2.5 pounds of potatoes, 1.5 cups of oil, 2.5 cups of onions, 10 large eggs, and salt and pepper for seasoning. First, you're going to want to take your oil and put it into a pot. And when it's hot but not smoking, add your onions and potatoes. Cook that mixture on a medium-low heat for a total of 45 minutes. While you're waiting for your potatoes and onions to cook, beat up your eggs until they are a completely smooth yellow color. After your potatoes and onions have cooked, drain them over a bowl, and make sure to do it over a bowl because you'll be using that oil later. Next, take your drained onions and potatoes and place them into your egg mixture. Mix it all up and season it with your salt and pepper. Then, take your egg mixture and put it into a large frying pan, like this one, and cook it on a low heat for 12 to 15 minutes. After those 15 minutes, take your soon-to-be tortilla española off of the heat for another 15 minutes. Next, you'll need to flip it, which can be tricky, but after you do flip it, place it onto the heat again for another 15 minutes. Take your oil and put it into a pot and heat it up until it's hot but not smoking. First, you're going to want to take your oil and put it into a...
Thank you, Carter, for that. I'm sure everyone will be trying that sometime soon. Now let's go to Olivier's review on the movie Her.
The new film by Spike Jonze is a kind of variation of these experiments on the cinematic incarnation, the disjunction between body and voice, image and sound, presence and absence on the screen. A famous actress, Scarlett Johansson, is a figure by her voice alone, and actor Joaquin Phoenix is alone on screen, interacting with a partner interposed by phone. Her is located in Los Angeles of the near future. The skyscrapers have grown like mushrooms, and urban trips are made in large techno-architectural vortexes such as subways, glazed corridors, design bridges, and elevators. Very successful in his vision of an urban environment, Her is hardly an exaggerated anticipation of our future, with consumerist culture and a comfortable society secretly gnawed by relationship difficulties and loneliness. The job of Theodore Twombly is precisely to fight against these evils of modern alienation. He writes love letters for multiple customers in a company that markets feelings and writing. They become rare commodities in this futuristic environment. However, although his letters are works of art, he is in full separation from his work and vaguely depressed. Theodore then buys a new company's software, a female voice which he talks to on the phone at any time, as such with a close friend, and his whole life is turned upside down. Her is a rom-com in a highly technical era. Although one of the two protagonists is invisible, there is romance between a body and a voice. In the movie, the subtle acting performance is exemplified by the conceptual cinematography, making us pose thousands of theoretical questions such as, will the machines in our future be able to feel? Or, is it possible to have a romantic relationship between a human and a program? Her is a story that drives us in our ethical and conceptual corner, tests our thinking about the last frontier between humanity and machines, the flesh and the virtual, the tasty paradox to nest this philosophic view of the near future.
It's the end of the school year soon, and in Mount Horeb, that means one thing: the Frolic. As always, it will be taking place at Grendel Park on June 9th to June 12th. The hours of the event each day will be 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. on the 9th, and 5 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. on the 10th. Continuing on to the 11th, festivities will occur from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 a.m., and on the 12th, events will be open from 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., closing out the Mount Horeb Frolic. And this year, more than any other, we'll have a multitude of events, including, but not limited to, volleyball, live entertainment, youth baseball, a beanbag toss tournament for all ages, and of course, everybody's favorite, carnival rides. At noon on Sunday the 12th, a Main Street parade will be held, honoring all of the great clubs, teams, and people of our village. And brand new at the 2016 Mount Horeb Frolic are professional lumberjack Midwest qualifiers held by Steel, taking place on Saturday the 11th and Sunday the 12th. All throughout the frolic will be a variety of raffles totaling $19,000, culminating in a grand prize draw on Sunday at 6 p.m. But get your tickets soon, as there are only 4,000 available. And with all this fun, please do remember to stay safe. Law enforcement officials say to go in groups, which not only increases safety, it increases the fun.
Marvel's Captain America Civil War finds Steve Rogers leading a new team of Avengers in their continued efforts to protect humanity. But after another incident involving the Avengers resulting in damage, political pressure mounts to make a system for the Avengers to be accountable for what they have done. In charge of them will be the government to oversee and direct the team. This new decision makes the Avengers go into two different sides. One is led by Steve Rogers, Captain America. His desire is to keep the Avengers free and not having to go through the government to save humans. The other team has Tony Stark's Iron Man. He has decided to support the government's oversight and accountability. The good parts of this film. For one, the addition of Spider-Man and Black Panther as characters improves the film immensely, each bringing their own new part to the film while still fitting together with the rest of the old characters. The humor in this film comes in moments where it might seem rather serious. There never seems to be a joke in the wrong place. These directors truly know what they are doing. The flow of the movie really works well for it, and there's no moments where you feel bored or want to do something else. The fight between the two teams is incredible and quite an accomplishment by this Marvel Studios. It's one of the best fight scenes in movies I've seen in a long time. The interaction between Steve and Tony, not just their fighting, but their conversations really shows how good of actors both of them are. The weak parts start with, for one, the villain. He doesn't do much throughout the film and shows up at odd points during the story. The film could have overall gone on and been fine without the villain. Another part is that the ending felt rather abrupt and nothing was quite summed up the way a film should have. Another part is that I do not believe it's as good as the previous film, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. The previous film did almost everything right, and it is one of my favorite movies, whereas this is still good, but not quite as good as the other one. Overall, Captain America Civil War is a good movie, being headed by good directors, good actors, and a good overall feel to it.
From all of us here at Triple N News, thank you for tuning in tonight, and stop by tomorrow, where we'll keep on rolling into river. Goodbye.